If you are wanting to move your life to the next level, if you want to discover hacks and tricks to live a life that you love, then this is the place for you right here on this window.
You have the power to change in an instant.
So, and what is a life of fulfillment? So I was facing a very difficult time in my life where I didn't know where north or south was anymore. I remember blasting through a counselor's office. And the first thing I did is I sat on a poltrona and I opened my heart out wide and let it flow. And I said, I am here because I have lost my compass. I don't know where north or south is anymore. And I don't know where to go. I feel like I am drowning in the middle of the ocean and I don't know how to go to anywhere. And I feel that I'm simply drowning. There's not even a raft for me to grab onto. So I know what is to be as far as you can be from a life of fulfillment. So we're going to talk about the 5 signs that you're headed to a life of unfulfillment. And let's talk first. What is fulfillment? Why would you want to live a fulfilled life? Why is that important, right? And when we talk about fulfillment, we talk beyond our needs. We're talking about what are our needs. We have physical needs, right? Our needs for food, shelter, for safety, right? That's why we have locks. That's why we have protection, because we want to be safe. That is the number one human need that is not only emotional, physical, is universal and is eternal, right? Our need for safety. I need to know that I will be safe. I need to know that I will be taken care of, that my persona, my body, my mind, everything, that I would have food on my table, that I will be safe, right? So that is the one number need that we universally share, no matter where we are signing in from, no matter the color of our skin, no matter where we landed on the planet. This is a need that we have. And what we are saying is, when we are meeting those needs, beyond our meeting our needs, then what's next? What's next when you already have the job that you love, or that meets your financial needs, your safety needs, right? And what happens when you're in a situation where you're having a life that it's okay, right? Or not so okay, or anywhere in the meter from where's the plug, right? Like I felt at one point, I said to myself, or I didn't say it to anybody, but I said it to myself, stop the world because I want to get off. Anybody been there? Right? Just blank. And I felt like I didn't want to live. I didn't have a purpose to live. I didn't have a reason to live. I was just separated. I was very confused. I was angry. I was sad. I was depressed. I was just living a life that had no aim, no purpose. And a life without purpose is a life that is being wasted. And that's when you feel the worst in your life, when you don't find a purpose, when you don't find that which you're going for, it really has a sense of meaning. Am I really living a life that is fulfilling? What is the difference between, well, I have everything, I shouldn't even complain, right? Like, I have food on my table, I have a warm and cozy bed. So what I'm saying is, sometimes we say, well, I feel guilty of complaining, telling you, hey, I'm not living fulfilled, even though I have the car that I chose with the color that I chose. I opened the fridge and I still have all those things that I chose to buy at the store. And I didn't grow, right? So we're so rich. We're so rich. So yes, there is an element of that, right? Of I am so grateful for it. However, there is an inner calling within ourselves. That is not about being satisfied. It's about, what is that yearning in the corners of your soul that is calling you to rise and to bring out your best version of yourself? That is your authenticity. That is the music that you have inside you, right? So that's what we're talking about. It's not the external circumstances. It's, what am I doing with my life that is allowing me to experience a bliss that gives a purpose and meaning to my life? Right? So now we don't just go by emotions, because we're not driven by emotions. However, if you study human behavior, like I have in the past 8 years, is you discover that everything that you do is because you're after a feeling, right? You want a feeling of importance, or you want a feeling of feeling safe, right? Or you want to feel loved, or you want to feel accepted, or you want to feel that you have arrived, right? Or that you have been in a place where you where you have contributed, right? There's a feeling that we're after. Everything that we do, behind it, there is a feeling. So there is something that God put in us, which is a sense of fulfillment. And what is fulfillment? What would be the definition, right, of that? Is that everything is covered. There's no space. There's nothing in a space that has not been covered. It's filled up, right? So if you look at your life, there are different areas of your life, right? We can be working all day. That's where we network, where we make things happen, where we're contributing to the world, where we're adding a service or a product that makes the world better, and we have a trade for that, right? People will give us money and we give them something of value, right? So we have that trade. That's our career. That is our factory. I call it factory because talk about the F's, right? But I have also my family, right? So that area of my life, which is important to me, or not so much. I talked once to a lady that she told me, oh, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about this. Right. But we have family. We came from a family. We're social creatures and we want to belong, which is an inner human yearning. Right. So we have also our fitness. How's your body, your health, your vitality, right? How are you? How are you in that department? You also have your faith, your relationship with your creator, your relationship with you, that beyond ourselves, right? We're body, but then who's the person in the inside? What is this that is in the inside, right? So what is it? That's another also critical element. But when you're looking at all of these different areas, I've picked 11 different areas that comprise who you are. Am I really fulfilling my purpose in that? And what is my purpose anyways? Or do I even know what my purpose is? Am I living my purpose, right? So I decided that I want to share this with you because when we live and we go through the emotions and we get caught up in the everydayness, right? I call it the tyranny of the everydayness. You go to work. Well, you used to go to work. Now you much work out of your computer, right? You got a fuzzy commute now. But when you're headed and then you come from for work, or you have children and you take care of homeworks and doing laundry and doing groceries and having dinner and arranging the house and going to sleep, and then doing that over and over and over again, right? It just wears out after a while. And if you're in a relationship, you say, well, where did all the joy went? Where did all the sassiness, all the sexiness and all these things went? And then I'm caught up into the every day. And you say, is this all there is? Right. So I'm going to share with you 5 signs that you know whether you are living a fulfilled life or you're headed to a life of not fulfillment. You might not be fulfilled right now, but you will want to watch out what's happening, because you might end up climbing a ladder that by the time that you get to the top, you say, I think it's landing in the wrong wall. This is not where I want it to land. Have you met anybody like that? Right? How we met people that even some people have even jumped out of a bridge because they didn't like the wall that it was landing on and they didn't find that. So there is an element, and that is fulfillment. And when you're fulfilled, you don't need to take anything out of your life. It just is. It's great. Doesn't need to be perfect. There's no perfection, right? In case we didn't get the news, perfection. There's no perfection out of Eden. It's the life that I say I want to create a family of laughters and smiles, right? A life of laughters and smiles where you're so fulfilled that you don't need to take anything out, that you're not craving for anything. Now, that doesn't mean that you are simply giving up. That means that you have created in your life and you have put elements in your life. They just didn't land on it. Nobody really landed in on the happy DNA club, and you just happen to just have everything and still not yearn for things. There is an internal call for you that even if outside circumstances are good or not, there's still a call inside of you to rise up and to share that gift with the world, right? So that's when we're talking about fulfillment. Does that make sense? Yes? No? Okay, good. I'm in good company here. So what is the first sign that you might not be living a life that you might be headed to a life of no fulfillment? Is that number one, and it's not in order of importance, it's just in order of I'm sharing with you, is that you constantly feel overwhelmed. You constantly feel overwhelmed, right? You are caught up in the busyness of life. You're going, you're doing, and you're like, what am I supposed to do? And when you're overwhelmed, that is when your capacity is exceeded by the demands that you have around. That is a good definition of being overwhelmed. When your capacity is exceeded by the demands that you have, right? And you feel overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, this is my business. Well, how many people do I need to talk to? But then I need to run to also work on my marketing, and I need to be in social media. And which social media, right? Do I do Twitter? Do I do Instagram? Do I do Facebook? Do I do LinkedIn? Do I do what, right? TikTok? By there's like 1, 2, 3 too many, and you're feeling like the world is falling you. Anybody been there? Right? So when you're constantly feeling overwhelmed and you feel like you are not, oh my gosh, that your mind is so diffused, going all over the place, that's a sign that you might be going to a dead end that you don't want to be on, right? You want to look around. What is going on in my life? Why am I running so much? Somebody wants of the running and running and running and running. And this feeling of, okay, I need to do and I need to go, right? And I am constantly feeling like I'm not capable, and I'm not filling the quota. I'm not checking all the lists in my to-do list, right? And I felt, and the problem with that is that I might not feel like I am contributing. I might feel like short, I had a client one time last year, and he told me, Soraya, my phone rings from 7 a.m. in the morning, and he doesn't stop ringing until 10:30 at night. I said, what do you do? I pick up the calls because I'm needed, because I need to attend my clients. If I don't, somebody else is going to come and take my spot, right? So, but he's constantly feeling overwhelmed. His children were being raised by the mom, and he said, well, she's a better mom, she's a better parent, so I just left them there, and we divorced, so they just be with the mom because she's the best parent. And he was failing to realize that those children needed his presence and his strength and his affirmation, right? So being that constant overwhelmness, you're not going to live a life that is fulfilled. And maybe you had an email that I sent earlier where I said there was an emperor, right? That when he was so prominent and so big and so grand and everybody admiring him, but when he passed away and there was this big procession of seeing his body come through, he had ordered his people to have a casket where his hands could be shown out. I was like, why would you want to do that? It was because I'm letting everybody know I'm going out empty-handed. I'm living empty-handed. I'm leaving everything behind. I'm not taking anything with me, which leads me to this same point, right? If in the overwhelmance we're trying to accomplish, the first step that we're going for is our certainty that I'm going to be well, right? Because we want to be safe. But then what's after? What are we doing? If we don't have the compass directed to where we want to go, then we are busy working and getting things that at the end we're going to leave behind. We're going to leave them behind, right? How many of us have had people that checked out because of COVID and they left us, and they still left everything behind. So no matter how busy they were on getting on things and getting overwhelmed, everything was still left behind. So you want to be watching out for that, because then you start thinking on what really matters, right? Which are gonna leave it for a little later. Number 2 is part of the being overwhelmed is you don't have time for what's really important. You don't have time for what's really important. And what's really important, which that is what takes me to the same point, right? What is really important is if you think about this king, after all the accolades and after all the riches and after all the things, he was still saying, what's important is not what I can gather, is not what I can collect from this world. It's really what are the moments that bring me that fulfillment. What are the things that really bring so much joy to my life and so much joy to my days, right? That's what we're talking about. What is fulfillment? So when you don't have time for the things that are important, when you don't have time for the things that are important, like what are the things? So put in the chat. I want to hear, and welcome, Linda. I want to hear, what are some of the things that are important to you? And just put them there, okay? And because I want to see, and you're going to be seeing a pattern. What are the things that are important to us in life? I know if I'm putting here, I would write my family, right? Loving on people, my mom, definitely, right? My brother, the people that I love, right? So there are so many things that are important. God is important for me. So what is important for you? And those things are, when we take away from those things, then we're not dedicating them, then we're running, we're headed, we're in a highway to a life of non-fulfillment, to a life that simply goes through the motions. when I am not taking that time because I'm too busy, too busy. I remember somebody that I know very close to me, and I remember growing up, he was making such an effort to come through and to raise 4 children and his wife, and always busy, busy, busy. But my cousin, well, that's actually my uncle, said my cousins never saw him, hardly ever, because he was working and working and working and working and working. So that one day at the end of the year, they could take 1 week as a family and go to amazing places, right? But what about, I started thinking, I was like, probably, I was a teenager when I saw this. And I said, why is he running all the time? And the important, which is important, right? To have safety and to have that provision. But his kids didn't really grow up with him because he was too busy going and putting time on that. So some people say, well, how do you balance? Like, do you want to have a balance? I say, you don't want to have a balanced life, even though that the concept is what we understand it. But if you have a balanced life, it means that you take 20% out of you and just dedicate it here, right? And then you take 13% here and that. You don't have the time for that. Really, what you want is harmony. You want a life where you're making these things happen, which are important to you, right? So I have somebody here says, relationship with me and my honey, friends, and people. You're talking about the emotional side. It's connection. Connection is what's important, right? For me, it's important to make God and my family happy and proud. Okay. So you're talking about, I want to be part of a group, a tribe, because we want to belong. That is that's the biggest yearning of all human beings, is I want to belong. So what we're saying is a pattern of belonging. Okay. Quality time with friends and family. Thank you. Yes. So here we go again. What's really important is the quality time, the connection, the sense of belonging. That's what's really important. And not only as takers, but as givers, right? Playing music with others. So can you see the pattern? Every single answer involves somebody else. It's not just me. Oh, I just want everybody to come on and plug it. That still involves people. But we're not even talking about, but everything that we write is involving other people. And we want to, that's what's important to us. So you want to be paying attention. What is the time that I'm allocating to this? Maybe I get in the busyness of the day, but you know what? What if I could set reminders to tell my significant other, my honey, my friends, my family, my mom, my daughter, how important they are to me? Just to remind, right? What if I could send a care package randomly to somebody that is not expecting it? I remember being in a place where I was an intern for a year. And I remember, and I was from out of the country. I'm originally from Mexico. So I remember being there and I saw all the care packages that people got. And I always felt like, oh my gosh, that's a foreign thought in the country where I came from, let alone they're not going to send something overseas back in the time. And it was just so complicated. But I remember looking at those care packages and I felt those people being so loved and cared about, right? What if you could send a care package with a few Snicker bars and a love note that says, I'm just thinking about you and I trust always well with you. How would you lighten up, right? So that's what we're talking about. It's not you stopping and administering your time and cutting it as a pizza slide and saying, okay, this is my time and this is my other time. But it's you flowing and it's you making an impact in your world and in everywhere that you're around, right? So that's point number 2. So number 3 in this list of what are the 5 signs that you're headed to a life of unfulfillment is the fact that you are letting your fears paralyze you. Letting your fears paralyze you, right? Now, let's talk about fear. And fear is our friend. Fear can be your friend. If you're not afraid of the bear, guess what? You're not going to be around for much longer. If you're not afraid of the lion running towards you, we might not see much of you any longer, right? So fear has a purpose. But there are 2 fears that are natural, right? So fear is an alert of survival. It's a survival mechanism telling you that something, right, might come against you, and your parasympathetic just jumps in and it says, okay, do I fight this? Do I flee from this? Or do I freeze, right? Fear makes you freeze. And when you freeze, you lose. When you freeze, you lose. When you allow fear to take a hold of the reins of your life, when you allow fear to drive the wheel of the car of your life to your destiny, then your destiny gets changed. You could have written the book. You could have launched the business. You could have improved the relationship. You could have improved your life. You could have done so many things. You could have allowed your gifts, but then you were afraid and you let fear paralyze you. Okay. So that is a sign also that you are headed to a life of unfulfillment. Okay. Number 4 is when you close your heart. When you close your heart, somebody wounded you. Somebody said the wrong thing. Somebody did the wrong thing. Somebody was in a position where they abuse their power, they abuse their strength, and you were a victim, right? And then the problem is not being victims. The problem is remaining a victim. And I work with survivors of human trafficking, allowing them to remove so many traumas from their lives and things where they're stuck, right? From phobias, from things that they cannot process themselves, and helping them get out of a victim mindset. You were a victim, but no longer. And it's helping walking them so that they can experience the freedom there is when you choose to allow to let go of the things that happen. I was having a conversation with somebody this week in a coaching session, and I was saying, somebody said, it's like, life is not fair. You know, my ex-wife is doing this and he's, and this and da. And I said, life, here's the breaking news. Life is not fair. We were never promised a fair life. Life is definitely not fair. And maybe something happened to you, and maybe you close your heart. When you close your heart to possibility. You close your heart because something did happen. We all have stories, no matter where you are. 99.99% of the people on the planet, if you had a childhood, you have issues, right? Your parents did something or did not do something that you pinpoint and is like, oh, you're the cause of my suffering. Most likely something happened in your childhood. Maybe it was not your parents. It was a sibling, it was an uncle, it was somebody in school. It was this. We all have stories. Yes. So nobody really escapes this. But you know what? You have a chance to open your heart and say, well, I don't like it that it happened, but I'm going to release, because this is about me. This is about me experiencing my freedom and not me putting somebody in my internal prison where I become the seller because I don't forgive them, but I'm the guard, right? I am the, what do you call it? The seller guide person. And the problem with that is that you're standing next to them. So you're rotting right there next to that person because of all the unforgiveness, and unforgiveness releases a set of cortisol and adrenaline in the body that starts deprecating the body. It starts breaking apart the body, right? So that is for sign. I know I'm extending, but we're having so much fun here, right? Raise your hand if you're enjoying being here. Yay. Okay. Thank you. So that is sign number 4, is when you close your heart. And when you said, no, they did this to me. And because they did this to me, I can never get to that. And because this happened in my life, I can never do that. And because this happened. So we're in this constant state of being closed and not trusting. How does that show up? I'm not trusting. I'm not open. I am not free to love and to be loved, right? I might reject people because people reject me. So there's something which is a topic for another conversation. But when somebody has a feeling of rejection, you know what they tend to do? They tend to reject others first, so they won't be rejected. So I see Emmylou, and she kind of gave me kind of like a look that I didn't interpret well. It's like, oh, I don't like her. Oh, my guard goes up because I'm not allowing for rejection because I rejected you first. So you're not going to reject me. Well, now, I'm just going to look over you with a, huddy nose. So we do that. We don't realize it. And you probably know people around you. Maybe you know somebody in the mirror, but you know people around you where you can see like, oh my gosh, yeah, I see these people doing this, right? You are headed definitely for a life of fulfillment when you close your heart and you said, no more. I'm not letting anybody hurt me anymore. I'm not going to let anybody, and you set up your guard, and then you build walls to protect you, right? They come up, choop, choop, choop. But we don't realize that those same walls that we put out for protection are the same walls that are keeping us prisoners inside our own cells. Because if you notice what everybody put in the chat was connection. And when we build the walls, what we're doing is we're disconnecting, is we are separating ourselves, alienating ourselves. And when you're alienated and when you are disconnected, then you suffer. You suffer because you're wired for connection. You're wired for vulnerability, but we've been hurt and we don't do that. So that is the sign number 4, that you are headed for a life of unfulfillment. Okay. And point number 5 is not living your purpose. Not living your purpose. And what am I talking about? You might say, well, so I give and I contribute and I do this, right? But is that really your purpose of life? Is that what you were born to do? There is music that God put in the inside of you that it only plays in your color, in your tune, to your rhythm, and you are unique. And what you can contribute to the world is so unique. It's so unique that there's nobody. I made you and then broke the pattern. There is not another Linda. There's not another Harumi, right? There's not another Carol. There's not another Earl. What is it that you have that you are great at, that you can give it? Because when you keep it, you disconnect. When you keep it, you close your heart. When you keep it, you get busy and doing other things, right? But you get busy and busy and busy. And many times to numb away the pain, oh, it's really gone behind doors, right? So you get to see, okay, am I simply doing things to numb away pain? That is a fast track to a life of unfulfillment, right? Or can I live in my purpose? What is my purpose? I have a purpose, right? I have an object of what I was created for. And if I don't live it, you don't need to live it. But if you don't live it, you're not going to feel fulfilled. You're not going to feel that sense of, oh my gosh, I am doing this and my body, my mind, my soul is aligned with this, and I am thriving and I am vibing, and my whole body knows it. And you can see it because there is an alignment, right? There's a congruency when you see people that are flowing in their gift, that are flowing in their talent, that are flowing because they've learned to do it. And then you know what? Life works, and that is a life of fulfillment because you're living in your purpose, and part of your purpose is you giving. And that's what is so enriching, because the secret of giving is living. And when you live your purpose, when you give your purpose, then you are getting the benefits, and you are you're getting the feedback of it, because when you give, you receive much more, right? Is the secret of giving is that when you give it, you receive it, and it expands, and it just causes a big effect on you. So what am I telling you with all these things today is there are ways for you to experience a life of fulfillment. And if you are not careful, and if you don't pay attention to the signs, you might simply be living in the okay everydayness, right? I don't know if you came to this planet to live an okay level of satisfaction for your life, or if you came to say, you know what, I landed in a land of freedom. This is the land of the free, right? Maybe you come from another place, or we see what was happening with the Ukraine, right? Or you see other places that are having really difficult times, and yet you're here and you have choices, and you can live and choose to live a life that is fulfilled. So I am inviting you today, if you can recognize what of this 5 lists that I gave you, right? If you can recognize the signs, and you can say, you know what, am I going to allow for fear to stop me? Or do I not, right? And if I not, then how do I do it? How do I do it? Well, one of the ways that you can do it is you can get resources, and I'm going to make myself a resource to you. I'm going to post here on the chat something I want to invite you to. I need to have a conversation with me. I want to help you if you want to. You don't have to, but I want to help you get to the next level. How do I get to a life of fulfillment? What's going on in your world? Let's pop up the hood and see what's going on in your world where you might be headed to one of these fast tracks to a life that you don't really want to be at the end of your days. At the end of your days, what is it that you want to do, right? We get to see that at the end of the days of your days. If you do the rocking chair exercise that probably were heard, okay? If you're like thinking and looking back at your life, all your accomplishments, the people that were important to do, what would they be saying? What would your family, your significant other, your mom, your dad, your children, your honey, what would they be saying about you, right? What would you want to hear them say about you? Who were you to them? What were the things that you did? What kind of person were you, right? That is going to be a life of fulfillment. It's not going to be only the accolades of personal or of professional life, but it's who you were as a person, right? So do you want to be focused on that? And what is it that I can bring to my family, to the people that I love, to my life, to my world, to my community, to the people that are around me? How can I make this a better world? We already have enough people that are not making this a better world, okay? But somebody says that evil triumphs when good people are not stepping up and doing what they can. You can do something, right? And that's another calling of me. As I support and fundraise for survivors of human trafficking, you can do something for other people. And that's where your joy comes. And that's the beginning of fulfillment. It's stepping out of you and start doing for others, but not here. Watch this out. It's not because I don't feel worthy. So I'm giving it so I can feel the quota that I am worthy. No, it's when you love yourself, when you are so fulfilled that you can give, because there's giving to make yourself feel good because you don't feel good with yourself. Or there is, I feel so good with myself and I am so rich that I have no choice but to bless and to give out. Okay. And actually, I'm going to do a commercial break. I do have a book. It's called The 7 Key Practices to a Happy Life, right? It is a practice of happiness. It is a practice of fulfillment. You can find this on Amazon, or if you write to me, I will send you a free PDF. I can do that. So, but it's important for you to practice, learn to practice. How do I live a life? How do I design a life that I love, right? I'm a life designer and I help you design a life that you love. I am grateful for good friends. Yes, I am grateful for good friendships. A friend, you have a family and then you have a chosen family. And your friends become your chosen family, right? You didn't choose your family. I was talking to a guy once and he told me the last time I saw my mom, I was 10 years old. She had run away. She came back and I woke up in the middle of the night to see her. And I thought she came to hug me. In the morning, I realized she came to pickpocket and take money so she can take drugs, right? And that's the last time I saw her. So sometimes, well, we never choose our family, but you can have a chosen family. You can surround yourself with people that will elevate you, which is also a journey towards fulfillment, right? The people, Jim Rohn said, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around with, right? So if you have friends, sometimes you might even want to look around. Who are the people that you have given a mic that is plugged to your heart, unfiltered? And you want to say, am I listening to the right crowd? Are they uplifting? Are they, right? No. Am I doing that for them as well? Right? Let's not be takers, let's be givers. But if I want to elevate my life, if I want to go to the next level, if I want to design a life that I love, then I want to surround myself with people that are speaking life into me, not death, right? So, okay, good stuff. And it says the first sign describes me partly because whether I am overwhelmed or with a huge lack of motivation, how can I cope with those feelings? Okay, when I am overwhelmed and with a huge lack of motivation. Oh, that's a very good question. And I'll tell you the short version, because what you want is when you lack of motivation is because you don't have a clear purpose. Back in the concentration camps in Austria and Europe, there was a time, and this is a true story, there was a time where some prisoners were told that they needed to pick big rocks and then take them and put them in the other side of the camp, right? Or somewhere on there. And then once they did, and they're skinny, unfed, unnourished, weak, right? You can imagine picking that up, taking it across and putting it there, because otherwise your life is at risk, right? And the next day, okay, well, now we don't want those rocks over there. Put them back where they were. Now you do that again, weak, worse than the day before. You're probably sick. It's probably the winter, and you're doing that, right? And you pick it and put it back. And then the next day, the guard says, oh, no, change our mind again, and let's go put it back. You know, the people that went through that, what they ended up doing is where they're killing themselves. Is they were running towards the fence that was electrified. They didn't care because they didn't have a purpose. That's why it's so important and critical that you have a purpose, that you have a vision, that you have, there is a verse, right? That says, without vision, people perish, because there is no vision. There's not something, your mind needs something to look forward to. And if you don't have something to look forward, you're losing the joy of life. You're losing the will to live. So lack of motivation is a lack of purpose, is a lack of vision, is a lack of dreams, because maybe you something, and it happened to all of us. Maybe you dreamed enough and somebody or something or circumstances, you shut down constantly your dreams, that you've learned to live better on a state of disappointment. Then you now getting disappointed at new dreams. So then what do? We do that. So lack of motivation, it's a lack of a vision and a lack of getting you excited. So if I was to work with you, I would say, hey, let's get you juiced up. What do you want? I would draw out of you. What do you really want? What are you really looking forward? What's something that would juice your world? And you know what? Let's go create it. And that is the pull, because there's a push and there's a pull. And when you have something that you're so excited about, it's pulling you, right? Like when you wanted to get that bike, or when you got your first money and you wanted to go buy something, it wasn't pushing you. The push is uphill and it feels like tension. When you get the pull, it's easier and you're going and you're flowing, right? So that's what your vision does, what your purpose does. Yes. Very good stuff. Good stuff. And we've all been there, done that. Yes, me too. I always say hashtag yes me. I'm not going to close my heart. Hashtag yes me. I am going to find my purpose. Hashtag yes me. I am going to give. I'm going to be not only a go-getter, I'm going to be a go-giver. And that's my invitation for you too. Go give to the people, those people that you wrote, the people that you thought of. What are the important things of your life? What can you do for them today, Friday? Not next week, not next month, not on their birthday, today. Could you reach out to them? Could you send them a love note? Could you send them a voice message, right? And tell them how much you appreciate them. Can you do something that you probably think they've been wanting and they don't know how to get? Could you do that for them, right? So that's my invitation for you, is be a go-giver. Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. I love to see you. I'm looking forward to seeing you on our next chapter, and let's connect if we haven't. And I look forward to that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm inviting you to design a life that you love. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
This is Soraya Altana. I'm a life designer, and you have the power to change in an instant.